Hey everyone, welcome to our Twitter Spaces today with CoinList. I'm Corey, token launch lead for CoinList. We're excited to be launching the Acurast token sale starting tomorrow. Today I'm joined by Alessandro, one of the minds behind Acurast, to dive into what they're building, why it matters, and how the community can get involved. Thanks for being here, Alessandro.
Thank you for having us, Corey. And thank you for all the support that we've been receiving from you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think just get started with kind of you and the team. So why don't you tell everybody kind of what your background is and how the idea behind Acurast first came together?
Yeah, sure. So, my background is in mobile security. I joined very early on Credit Suisse when mobiles were not yet really part of the mix inside a bank. And with the problem statement of how to bring those devices into the bank so that users, as in clients, but also as in employees, could start utilizing this new technology. And that's basically where my obsession and passion for mobile devices started, and also how I realized the impact that security modules of these devices can have on us, on our workflows, and so on and so forth. I also soon realized inside the bank that this knowledge was needed and wanted from other big financial institutions worldwide. That's why I co-founded a company that was offering exactly that, software development in the mobile security space all around the globe, with many Fortune 500 companies also overseas that were in the list of our clients. And somewhere in 2015, we realized that this technology could also be applied in the crypto space. And we started a project, open source project called AirGap, which would basically, again, with the mobile phone, allow you to create a self-custody solution that would be air-gapped, which is a security concept. And at some point, we helped many projects from 2015 all the way to 2022, basically develop solutions in the crypto space. Also, many of them launching tokens. Some of the very early ICOs we helped on the technical side, making sure that those flows would be secure. And however, I never wanted to really launch an own token, to be honest, because I never had the idea that I would say, okay, this is an idea where you really need a token for, where you can really build something up around decentralization. And this was up until the moment we co-founded together with Pascal, my co-founder, Acurast. And what the idea basically was in a nutshell is that having realized the most secure and widely distributed hardware in the world was already in people's pockets, there was no other device that would be a better fit for running a decentralized cloud. And we were actually shocked to realize that no one was using these devices for compute. Um, and once we then went out with the idea, we were very pleased to realize that many people, on the other hand, liked the idea, got the idea, and started onboarding tons of compute.
Awesome. And so maybe let's talk a little bit about kind of the DePIN space. I know there's a lot of kind of currently growing excitement around DePIN and real world utility in Web3. So how does Acurast kind of fit into that narrative, and what makes you guys uniquely positioned to drive adoption?
I will maybe take a step back and just say in what kind of awesome timeline we're living in, where basically people could organize themselves just by specifying software and creating then a network that would provide payments and store of values such as Bitcoin that would eventually get adopted by entire countries. I mean, just this realization to me has been phenomenal. And I remember that back in 2015, there were a couple of weirdos, let's say, that were predicting that this would happen. Also, a friend of mine that was constantly nagging me and pushing me into crypto and Bitcoin. And I'm very thankful that he did so. But today it's reality, right? So basically, by specifying a couple of rules, by specifying this software, and people just agreeing on that software, we could build something together that would challenge the status quo, and basically bring back to the people a tool that allows them to counter politicians and so on and so forth. Now, with Acurast, we're trying to do something similar, but we are taking it from the standpoint of the service of decentralized compute. And this is not only Acurast that is doing that for decentralized compute, but also other projects in the deep in space that basically realized there are ways to organize people around a specific topic so that that topic will become ever growing, and people would promote then that specific project and protocol. So that's ultimately what really excites me about Deepin, is about the scale and the impact that simple quote unquote software can have on real human beings all over the globe. So not just limited to a specific geolocation. And Acurast brings Deepin from India to this infrastructure, turning a global drawer of idle phones into the world's most accessible compute network. And think about that, right? If you take a look at various countries where there is simply not the infrastructure to build data centers, because this requires a lot of energy, it requires a lot of infrastructure ultimately. You can just leapfrog and start providing still compute to those regions in a very, very easy way, in a very fast way. Like no other network or solution is capable of offering you this scale of compute in that short amount of time. And I think this is the big advantage behind decentralized technologies, behind having humans really interact on a set of rules.
Awesome. And then that kind of maybe a little bit of the competition. So unlike other decentralized compute projects that focus on kind
Uh, Corey, I think you're breaking up, or is it me?
of
Yes.
and let's compute kind of competitive landscape and how most of your competitors kind of typically use those massive data centers or specialized hardware. You guys kind of take a different approach in that mobile first approach. So maybe talk through what led to that decision and why do you believe that's kind of the right model for the future?
Right. So one of the things. So now, before we talked about the things that I like about Deepin, now we can also talk about the things that maybe I don't necessarily like about Deepin, which is that some of the projects force people into buying specific hardware that only they produce, or force people into buying specific NFTs that gatekeep them from being able to access the network, from being able to participate. For Acurast, this was really the most important thing, that everyone can just start participating with the device that everybody has in their pockets, which is the mobile device. There is also no requirement on having a specific amount of tokens from Acurast to just get started. There is no anything of that kind. So basically, if you want to onboard compute onto Acurast, it takes you literally 3 minutes, and you just need a mobile phone. If you want to consume compute and start deploying stuff, it takes you about the same amount of time, and the only thing that you need is a crypto wallet, and soon we'll also be having a credit card integration with an on-ramp provider. But this is what I mean by accessibility and permissionless. Now, I don't believe that you can reach this level of accessibility with any other hardware. It starts with the simple fact that everybody knows how to utilize a mobile phone, but not many people know how to set up a Linux server or how to spin up virtual machines in an AWS. And I think this is also something that is very, very visible, because if you take a look at our community, you will find all sorts of huge setups from the users, where they basically are putting hundreds of devices in racks that have broken screens or any other malfunctions. It's really super, super motivating to see that on that side. Then there is also an economical aspect. Like, designing and developing hardware is really, really expensive. And here we have the unfair advantage of just piggybacking onto the most engineered piece of hardware known to humans on the computing side. Think about it. Apple makes 2/3 of their revenue from the iPhone alone, just that piece of hardware. Not the iPad and the iPhone, not the iPad, the iPhone and Mac, no, just the iPhone. And Apple spends more than 33 billion a year in research and development. So a lot of that budget basically just flows into designing the best possible hardware that people use day in and day out every day. So I think those are some of the major advantages that we see compared to other models. Something else, obviously, is also that these devices don't require a lot of infrastructure. So you can basically just go with a bunch of mobile devices to a village in sub-Saharan Africa, and all of the sudden, this village starts having compute. They can start running large language models. They can profit from all of this compute, and this is also something that no other form factor is able to basically deliver. And is also the reason why I'm so obsessed and so convinced that it is the only way to go, by leveraging mobile devices and not gatekeeping on the compute with some customized hardware.
Absolutely. Can you hear me now?
Yes?
Sorry about that. Running into some issues.
I think this is the tech after all, right? Maybe maybe X should change onto Acurast, but this looks more like on your side. Maybe let me add something that I think is quite important to mention, because I haven't mentioned that before. The big point of why mobile devices ultimately are able to deliver on this vision of decentralized compute is that you have some of the most sophisticated hardware security modules in these mobile devices. Mobile devices don't have the privilege of kind of physical security like a rack in a data center. That's why people had to come up with solutions that would allow you to do all the mobile banking and everything while having this on a device that someone could literally just take from you, right? And what this ultimately translates to are two properties that are the very foundation of decentralized compute. And the first property is that you can verify that the hardware and the compute actually exists. This is a very, very big point because in a adversarial world like internet, you're not able to just say people will just play along nicely and they will be kind of self-reporting whatever they have. You will also not be able to say, look, we gatekeep and we have an auditor that goes and checks whether the compute is really there every 3 months. This is simply not a possibility. That's why on the Acurast side, what we leverage is this hardware attestation that comes from the chip producer and is then verified on chain directly. The other thing that you receive, and this is another property that without that decentralized compute cannot have adoption, is the simple fact that you receive confidential compute. This means that you don't need to trust whoever is providing you with the infrastructure, whoever is providing you with the compute. They are not able to tamper with your execution, nor are they able to inspect whatever it is that you're executing. And this obviously has a huge impact and can only work like it's a precondition for something like a decentralized compute that scales and is being adopted. That's just a point that I also wanted to make sure people yeah, that it comes over, because usually security is super boring until it isn't, but in this case really it's the foundation of this high performance network.
Thanks for that, Alessandro. Corey's having some technical issues right now, so I'm going to sub in. This is Harry from CoinList. Hey, everyone. Acurast has been built with first principles of decentralization and scalability. Can you walk us through your current traction of a network of smartphones and what your roadmap looks like to scale it across billions of devices worldwide?
Yeah, sure. So we launched an incentivized testnet about a year ago, and already when we basically launched it, the echo was really, really good with people joining from all over the world. But the whole thing has really accelerated so much that at the moment we are onboarding about 10,000 devices every 3 to 4 weeks. And this is a massive amount of compute if you think about it, because these devices all sport some chips that are 8 cores and have 8 gigabytes of RAM and have acceleration for LLMs and so on and so forth. So if you think about it, that's really, really impressive that just by getting people excited about this idea and being part of this idea, we managed to really grow to something as substantial as this. The other super cool aspect that I'm very, very proud of is that this compute is distributed on more than 130 countries. So it's really present everywhere. Also everywhere where other kind of centralized compute providers are simply not there. And I think, yeah, this is super important if you're trying to build the most accessible form of compute available to humans effectively.
Definitely, the growth is impressive too. And with the growth, there's always got to be something to, worthwhile. Let's talk incentives. How are users rewarded for contributing compute via their mobile devices, and how do you envision this evolving over time?
So when we started, we basically just wanted to really bootstrap this compute and bootstrap the community. That's why we started with a campaign called the Bootstrapping campaign. And this bootstrapping campaign would basically say, since we're able to validate that the hardware is real, if you onboard any sort of mobile device, no matter how performant, you will earn up to 250 Canary tokens a month. Now, for the sale, and because a lot of people are getting super excited about this, we increased that actually to 500 tokens per month for the next 2 weeks. This model, however, is not the long-term model of how we envision incentives. There's two things that we're changing. One is that your weight on how much you're going to be earning really depends also on the performance that you're adding to the network. So if you're adding a device that has 8 cores, 8 gigabytes of RAM, that will have a higher score than a device with just 4 gigabytes of RAM. And I think this is really important because it ultimately allows you to really scale not only the amounts of participants, but also the quality of compute. Although I have to say that we already do have some impressive devices on the network with up to 24 gigs of RAM, which I didn't know would exist, a mobile phone with 24 gigs of RAM before starting. Now, another big concept that will be launched with the mainnet is the idea of staked compute. Basically, we want this compute to be as reliable as possible. And whenever people are going to onboard compute, they will say, I'm willing to dedicate a device or this amount of compute over the next couple of months. But expect for this reliability, for this commitment, a higher reward. What you will also have to do to be able to back that commitment is basically stake Acurast token that are tokens that would get slashed from you if you wouldn't deliver what you said you would. Now, obviously, not everyone will have the infrastructure, and there is also a delegation mechanism where people will be able to just delegate their stake to other people that are providing this compute to the network. So this brings two major changes. And the last but not least change is that we're moving from this fixed reward per user approach to a fixed inflation approach. So when TGE will start with the mainnet launch, we will have an inflation of 5%. And this inflation is what will be then distributed to whoever is providing compute, to whoever is providing state compute, and basically creating this effect similar to Bitcoin, where if people leave the network, there will be more incentive for others to stay on the network. And if the incentives grow to stay on the network, there will be a lot of people that want to participate so that the maximum amount of value is being generated for the network ultimately.
That's great. With the bootstrapping campaign, validating the hardware, the reward distribution mechanisms, and the obvious community-first approach to growing Acurast, can you share more about the upcoming token sale and what steps you've taken to ensure community members have a meaningful participation and long-term alignment?
I mean, the first step we've taken was to choose to work with an outstanding partner such as CoinList. And we're very grateful for this collaboration, and it has been really amazing to be working with you guys so far. And I'm really, really excited to see how things will start going tomorrow when the sale starts. Now, on the deal structure side, we wanted to create something that is really highlighting the importance of the community from our side. We do have early backers, but those early backers only make up for 6.5% of the token supply at TG. And another aspect is also that those backers have locks on those tokens for 2 years or more. And we didn't want to have any locks for the community members because we said that that will actually really create something that gives a very, very fair entry point for everyone that wants to become a participant of this network. And yeah, that's basically the reason why that's a very exclusive deal that the early backers wouldn't necessarily get themselves.
Yeah, who doesn't love 100% unlock, right?
Right.
What does success look like over the next 12 months for Acurast, both the network and the broader community?
I mean, obviously there will be the mainnet launch. This is a very, very big milestone for us, something that I'm personally looking forward to. And I can see that is becoming a reality now after 3 years of hard work. And what comes beyond that is the fact that now we're talking with also large compute consumers, where we're basically able to onboard in bulk people that will say, look, we want to run large language models confidentially for our enterprises. At the moment, this is the amount of money we're spending for AWS or for OpenAI. We dislike the fact that they're capable of reading all of our data, extracting value from our data. We want to work with Acurast. These conversations are happening right now, and are also the reason for a lot of the travels that I'm currently doing. But that's not the only compute that is being adopted from the Acurast side, to be honest. We have over 10,000 deployments that just grew organically. These are people that are deploying websites, deploying confidential LLMs, deploying on-chain automation, everything that has a very high requirement on security, and you basically want to have really, really easy to access and easy to scale, and have that performance at hand, is a very good workload to be put on Acurast. And we're seeing people adopting it also on that side. We haven't even started with specific campaigns on the demand side, and already see those 10,000 users. However, now with also the mainnet launch, that will be one focus point from our side. Obviously, the big ambition is to grow from now 65,000 devices to 1 million devices, which I think we are on the perfect path to do that. On the CoinList deal page, you will actually see that we are currently in this exponential growth phase there. And I think the moment where people are able to understand how they can actually start earning those rewards and converting those rewards, this will also accelerate further. So I'm really excited about this phase as well. And then, because I have a very, very engineering passion, one of the coolest features that the team has been working on now over the past 6 months is the fact that you can cluster multiple mobile devices together, interconnect them over USB-C, and then run the largest language models out there at a decent performance. And I think that will be a huge unlock as well on the demand side of things, because at the moment we're limited by the amount of RAM a device has to run things like large language models. But this will change the minute we have this clustering technology, which does not exist anywhere else in this format. So yeah, those are the major milestones on top of my head, and the things that I'm really looking forward to.
That's great, and I think we can all say we're all looking forward to that. Other than, make sure you get Acurast on your phone, start computing that data, and participate in tomorrow's sale. Do you have any last words you want to leave the crowd with?
Right. I believe that this is more than just hype, to be honest. I really can see that the traction we see on this network allows us to do things no other central authority is capable of doing. Scaling with 10,000 devices in so little time, especially now in times of um, shortage of these chips, is not something you can do so easily. And I really love the fact that basically we're just piggybacking on something that is already there and breathing a second life into these devices. And I really believe that the impact of this will be huge. And I'm really looking forward to that. And I love everyone that is participating on this journey with us.
Awesome. Thank you, Alessandro. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. If you guys are still listening, don't forget the sale starts tomorrow, May 15th, 1700. Come purchase some Acurast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, guys.